And we're live. Woo! Hello. I'm just gonna tweet out that we're live as well, so that we get that done. We're here.
I'll watch for the tweet to retweet.
Yeah. And also on the here. Wait, nope, wrong. We're live. Cool. Nice. Okay, there we go. So, hi everyone, and welcome to the third and final live discussion for the Poppy War Readalong, where we will be discussing the Burning God, the third and final book in the Poppy War series. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about, I think.
Yeah.
And also, should we just say that it's gonna be spoilers right
Right
from the
from the
beginning,
get-go. Yeah.
especially if you haven't read the previous books in the series. Like, it's very difficult to keep it spoiler free. So if you're tuning in and haven't read this book or haven't even read the other books, just be aware that we're
But
going to be talking spoilers right from the beginning. But yeah, should we start with just like initial thoughts, rating, if we even finish the book, stuff like that? I can start. And the thing with me is that I have not finished the book. I'm halfway through it, but this is a reread of mine, so I have read the book before. I know how it ends, what's gonna happen. It's just been, yeah, I haven't been reading that much the last month either way, so I've been reading it now, but unfortunately I couldn't finish it before the live. But I'm gonna do my best to keep up with the discussions. And when I read it the first time, I gave it 5 stars. So yeah.
I finished it this morning, so keeping consistent with my finishing it at the very last second
Doing great.
before each live show. But I feel like it's good that way because it's like fresh in your mind. I actually read like almost a chapter per day, so I ended up spreading it out throughout the month, so I wasn't like super rushing at the end. But I ended up having like 150, 200 pages to finish this morning because I skipped a couple days right towards the end, so I had to finish like 5 chapters, I think. But I was thinking about giving it like a 4.5 stars until the very, very end, and it brought it right back up to 5 stars for me because this was the slowest book for me. I don't think it really picked up until about where you're at, Charlotte.
Yeah.
So that was kind of harder to get through. And then it really ended well in my perspective. It was painful, but it ended well. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I finished it last night, so just in time for the live as well. I think I feel the same as Megan. I'm giving it 5 stars, and it was the end that really just kind of brought it up because I wasn't quite at the 5-star kind of feeling. It was not the ending I was expecting, but I think it was the ending that the book needed. Yeah, it was definitely the ending that it needed, and yeah, it was a little bit slower to begin with. Definitely, I felt that as well, but yeah, definitely, it's like a 5-star series for me. The whole series, which is good.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, did both of you give all books 5 stars?
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
god.
Dragon Republic was the best of the 3 for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because I agreed the first time around, but now when I've been rereading them, I don't know. I still haven't finished Dragon Republic, to be honest. That was when I hit the slump. I haven't, and also because we already discussed it. I've also discussed it with a friend, so I sort of emptied out all my thoughts about it already.
Yeah.
And I knew I needed to get to this one, but this one worked so much. Like, I read it so much quicker than with Dragon Republic. So I don't know. It's perhaps one of those things that it just depends on your mood or something. But
yeah.
I don't know. Should we do it like chronologically, or should we just talk about the ending?
I don't know.
What are you feeling? Because both of you finished it quite recently, and like I'm still here. Like, how are you both like human, decent, all of that? Because I remember when I finished the book, I was a wreck.
Yeah.
So let's just discuss the ending, I think, because
Okay.
that's like the big thing.
I think it goes back to what Lorena said about how it was a painful ending, but it was it was appropriate. It's what the book needed, and maybe that's why I'm not a wreck, because it worked. It worked really well. So
cool.
Yeah, no, I was like I said, that wasn't the ending I was expecting.
What were you expecting, first of all?
I don't know. I thought that I thought that Rin would be fine at the end. I thought she would kind of get everything, and like the empire would be like back, or like whatever they decided to do politically, whatever. But I just thought that would all kind of work out. But I suppose once it ended, I realized I was like, oh, it's always happened that way. Like, I think a reread would be really interesting to actually reread it and see how the history happened throughout. Because once it did end, I was like, okay, it always happens. And it's going to share that realization that she didn't understand before the decisions, before of those Spearley women. But now that she was in the same position, she was just like, yeah, I have to do this. This is what needs to kind of happen. So yeah.
That's something, when we started reading the Poppy War, the first book in the series, I actually sort of felt like there's a lot of foreshadowing for what's going to happen in the rest of the series. And that is mainly the fact that when people talk about the ones that are shamans, I don't know how to pronounce that. But there's either two ways they can go. Like when we get to know the psyche and stuff, there's either two ways. Either they go to this mountain and are like stonified or whatever, or they get killed off because they become too insane.
Yeah.
And from what I remember from the Burning God, we're getting to this point where Rin is just starting to go a bit nuts herself. Like, obviously, we're seeing things from her perspective, so it might not be that obvious how crazy she is actually acting and appearing to be. But yeah, she's definitely going insane, especially considering everything she's been, of course, throughout the series. So it does make a lot of sense that it ends with her death.
I was just sad Kate had to go with her. I was like, come on.
No.
That part was more painful to me than Rin.
Yeah. I remember reading that chapter and being like, which one of those three is gonna die? Because it's sort of like, one of them, at least one of them, won't make it in the end. But it was so much back and forth from what I remember. So it's like, is it gonna be Nessa? Is it gonna be Reem? Is it gonna be Kate? Is it gonna be multiples?
Yeah. And I'd kind of forgotten that they hadn't ever actually learned how to like untether themselves if one of them was dying. I forgot that they didn't know how to do that. Otherwise, maybe he could have been saved, but I don't think he would have. I think he would have, he just went along with it. But yeah.
Ugh. So painful.
It's a rough ending.
Yeah.
But I kind of like those stories too, when they actually kill off like one of the main characters. I don't know. Yeah. It's a good twist.
I like it sometimes. There's definitely, I'm not going to say which ones, I don't want to spoil, but I can think of quite a few books that in that way, and I'm just like, not the right decision there.
Yeah, I remember when I read the book as well, I was so upset, both because of the ending, that really affected me, but also because I had just finished the series, and I had been so obsessed with the entire series. So how do you both feel now that you have actually finished this series?
I want there to be more, and there's not.
Yeah, I kind of want another book just to find out what happened. Like, did Naja manage to, run the empire? Did they become independent? Like, I kind of want to know that, how it actually ends up. And yeah, I think it would have been really interesting if we had his perspective in this book as well, because they're obviously on opposite sides. I think it would have been really interesting to see what he was actually thinking as well.
Yeah. There was a short story at the end that was like from his perspective, and I don't know if it was in this copy or if I ended up downloading the ebook so I could just read it in the middle of the night.
I don't have
that. I think it's only in the ebook. But if you go, like, I just got the ebook off the Libby app, and there was like a 16-page his like perspective short story, but it was just like tiny scenes just throughout when he would interact with her, and I was like, this isn't enough, I need more.
Yeah, I think that's the one I was thinking of then. What is it called now again? Something Dragon? The Drowning Faith. It's like a 2.5 book.
Okay, I'll look that up then.
Everyone's like, I need more. I need more.
It won't be satisfying, I promise you that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think Rin's whole arc and development was really good, especially in this one, because she went from still being like somebody who follows orders to actually becoming the one giving orders as well. So I think her whole arc throughout the whole series and also this was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's been sort of like a constant conflict with her, that she is a great soldier, but most of the books, she's always relied on having someone tell her what to do. And that's when she feels the most comfortable and she thrives the most. So it's always been a struggle for her to actually be the one who takes command and also takes responsibility for everyone. And that's definitely something she learned throughout this book, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to consider the civilians more and trying to make sure to evacuate people all the time, but also becoming more, I guess, like she started killing off people more and more just to gain power. So it's just really interesting to see her become that, I guess.
Yeah, and I think she originally thrived mostly under someone else's command because she could kind of blame those commands on the deaths. She didn't have to necessarily accept them as her own choice or her own doing, like she did the nation of, I forget.
The Muganese.
Yeah.
Muganese, yeah.
So like she has to like live with that, but under somebody else's command, it was their choice and like their decision. So she's just following orders as opposed to being her choice again. And I think it was easier for her to live with that. But then like coming back full circle and wanting to kill everyone, and she started to realize like how power hungry she was becoming, and she's like, I'm gonna make enemies everywhere I go, and the war is never gonna end if I don't stop now.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's like there's really no way out. It feels like in this book, like everyone's fighting each other. There's always someone else who wants to be the leader, who wants the power, all of that. So it's like you don't really see an end to the war anymore. It's just like such a mess, everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, it's really messy, but it's almost by all of that messiness happening, she did, in the end, allow for Najat to be able to, I suppose, almost rebuild like a whole new system, because she got rid of all like the war laws, etc. He's not stuck with that system that's pulling them back and progressing. So it's bad, all the stuff that happened, but I think it's going to benefit, I suppose, the future and how things are going to shape up as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I do think that Nasha has like good intentions with what he wants to do. That's why he always believed his father and such as well. So it does feel, I guess, a tad bit hopeful, at least, that she's kind of leaving the empire in his hands and it's his turn to try and rebuild everything. Because I at least trust him to be able to do that, hopefully, or give it a good go, at least.
Yeah, because it's like when she took Arlong, and then they were going through, and he'd actually left like papers and stuff that he'd been working on to like sort certain issues. So like, I think he is the better person to end up being the leader, because he knew that he could have taken that away, but he left it because he knew that he needed to leave something to ensure that things were improved for the people.
Yeah.
And I think that was the first time when they took Arlong that Rin actually had to do like administration, I suppose, and Katai like was helping her. Otherwise, she literally had no idea how to actually run
Yeah.
a city or a country.
Yeah. No, exactly.
I thought it was interesting how she even started turning on like her most trusted, or like she thought her most trusted people were turning on her rather. With like, do you think Vinka was a spy?
Oh yeah.
Or was it just Rin being like super paranoid?
I think I'm not sure now on this reread, but when I read it the first time, I think I believed that Wenka actually had turned against her. But this is the thing with her going insane, though. You don't know what to trust, really.
Yeah, I don't know because, like you said, you don't know whether to trust that thought process of her. But if she is right, is it all the things were like a little bit convenient of how certain things happened, and it would point to Venka because there obviously was someone in their like ranks that was on the other side that was a spy, and it would make sense that it would be somebody like Venka because she's really close to Rin.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, like you said, because she's going crazy. You don't know. Yeah. You don't know.
I just don't want to believe it. Because I ended up really liking her character, and just she was so headstrong and stuff. And I feel like she just went through so much trauma that why would she? I don't know. I just hated it. But I get it at the same time.
Yeah.
Because she was always like infatuated with Neja in the Singard school.
Yeah.
But I don't think she would make decisions based on like how she feels about people after what she went through.
No, but I for me it's sort of like, I mean, after what happened in the Dragon Republic with Nasha, who stabbed Rin in the back, it's like I don't trust anyone anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's the relations and friendships and loyalty means nothing. So like, and because when they were at Sinigard the first year, nobody liked each other. Like they were all enemies or whatever. So it does sort of make sense that sure they are like, I guess they're on the same side because it's a war, but they still have their own interests and they still don't really need to like each other just because they are fighting for the same thing. And they do have history of not being friendly with each other, so yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like they had this like mutual respect when Rin would like castrate the people who did stuff and like that kind of. I don't know, but who knows? With this
like,
book.
please give me a recap of the second half of the book because I'm currently halfway, and I do remember, like, I remember the Venka thing, I remember the end, but can someone just give me like a timeline of what happened? Because where I'm at now is that Rin has teamed up together with the Vipress and the Gatekeeper, and they are at Sinigard, I think, and they got Kitay, and now they're trying to work on their next move, basically. So could someone just
piece this together, Loretta?
So they end up going, I don't know if they go back south, but they end up meeting back up with the Southern Coalition, don't they?
Yeah.
Is that when she kills, what's his name?
It's when they go back and meet them in like the underground tunnels type of thing.
Yeah.
And Jiang kind of reveals his gatekeeper powers. And then they decide from there that the next step is that they need to go like awaken the dragon emperor or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they travel through the mountains to get to him.
To Dog Province, but it's a really tough march, isn't it? That they
that's where the worst scene I've ever read in a book happens, with like the children cannibalizing the dead guy.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like, I don't really have triggers, but that one like made me gaggle a little. Like ugh.
Mhm.
Just like children harvesting organs from a dead guy. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a
and
lot
Ren
of like traveling in this book, like a lot of going back and forth, like
Yeah.
going to the southern parts and then up to the mountain and then back. And
I feel like that's a theme of either second books or first half of final books, of just like traveling is just happening.
in
Like,
very harsh conditions.
mhm. But then they make it to
Dog Province.
uh-huh.
Up with the new dog warlord. What's his name?
Shogun,
Yeah.
something like that. Then not to be confused with Shagan or whatever.
Yeah.
That's the twin that can like go into the spirit world. Because she does meet him there as well, and he is saying like, "Hey, it's a really bad idea to wake the emperor."
Yeah.
And she got shown like snippets of what happened on Spearley, but not like the whole thing.
But she got a little bit of her origin story as well. But that's the one thing with this book, is that I feel like we never got the full Ren like origin story. If you know what I mean, that's the one thing that I think I really wanted like fully answered. I mean, you get the gist, but you don't know
for sure. But they make it to the Red Emperor and awaken him, and he ends up being a total a-hole.
He is related to Najah, so it makes sense.
Basically, like abusive to the other two, and Ren's just like shocked at how these two most powerful people in the world are just shadowed by how this Red Emperor, Dragon Emperor, what is his name? What is it?
I think I saw it recently. The dragon.
Because everyone thought he was Riga.
Yeah, Riga. He's called. He has a nickname like everyone else, right?
Mm-hmm. Because one's the Viper, one's the Gatekeeper, and one's the one I can't think of.
Criminal, I think. Everyone thought he was dead anyway.
Yeah. Because of that.
He was really horrible, and he was basically going to kill Rin anyway, wasn't he? He was just didn't trust the Spearleys.
Yeah, he basically looked down on them as not human. It's in like around the 380s.
Yeah, the Dragon Emperor.
Okay. I just because there's a Red Emperor and a Dragon Emperor, and I always got those two confused.
Red Emperor is the one who, like, I guess, united the nation, right?
Yeah. He was like the original emperor person.
Yeah. Exactly.
But they awaken him, and then Rin ends up going outside because the dirigibles are there, because they know that she's looking for the Dragon Emperor, and she like shoots down these dirigibles, and it causes this huge explosion, and that's really when like the tides turn for her in her favor, because like half this fleet of dirigibles is gone, and like the trifecta is gone, all within the same battle.
I like how Zhang, because he was changing in the lead up to onto the mountain back to who I suppose he actually is, but then he just had this moment of like he kind of remembered who he had been all those years, when he knew Ren, and just kind of sacrificed himself to give her a chance to kind of get out, and for him to like kind of destroy the emperor.
What happened after that?
That's when they start doing their march to Arlong, and they have like lots of little battles. Like they split.
Yeah.
That's when she started. That's when she created shamans. She recruited 3 shamans. That little training montage was fun.
That didn't go so well, though, right?
No.
The shaman. Did it? No.
No.
Do you think like it sounds good in theory, this army of shamans, but do you think it would work if they perhaps had the right coach or leader or whatever, or do you think it's just doomed? Because that's a constant discussion that's been throughout the books.
I think it could work because she did it in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
And she wasn't fully trained really. So like I think if they had someone who like knew what they were actually talking about and they got properly trained, like it took her like what, a year or 2 years before she actually
discovered the Pantheon.
Yeah, exactly. So I think if it'd been done properly, there would have been a better chance, because she knew that it was just going to be a couple of months and they'd be done basically, because of she just needed them for these like few battles. But then you never know what power they're going to get. So like one was a healer, which is fine if you're in battle, they can heal people afterwards and like fix bones and stuff, but it's not useful in an actual battle.
No.
And then one, she like could poison people. She either have to close contact, which again is not that useful, or it would have to be like a water supply. And another one like did earthquakes or something, which was more useful. It has to be at the start, and then he has to kind of go away, because once they're in the battle, you can't just keep to an earthquake and like open up the ground and stuff. So it wasn't. I don't think they were useful powers that they got.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you never know what god they're going to bring down.
No, exactly. That's another thing, though. I feel like Master Jiang's, the way he taught Rin was always criticized in all of the books. Like Alton criticized it, the Vipers criticized it, saying that he did the entirely wrong thing. But I still feel like the way he taught Rin was actually pretty good. Or I don't know, like perhaps I'm completely off with that one, but I feel like he taught her, or he at least tried to teach her a lot of patience and stuff before she even, as we said, found out about the Pantheon and all of that. And I think that perhaps if they would have gotten even more time together, it could have worked out, potentially. Like, yeah, everyone's saying that he tried to sort of hinder her from reaching out to the Phoenix. But I feel like they were onto something. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's the thing though. She only got like a couple of years with him.
Yeah.
But if they had more time, I think she would have been better. Either way, she would end up dead or in was it Chulu Creek?
Yeah, exactly.
But I think she would have been more mentally stable for longer.
Yeah.
I suppose, because she is the one who lasted the longest though.
Exactly.
Apart from the Jah, I don't know how he seems to have managed to escape.
I think it's because he's like avoided. Like he's known about his powers for so long, but he's always just like, because of, I guess, fear and also what everyone's around him has been telling him, he's sort of like tried to avoid and ignore that part of him. And perhaps that's why it has worked out.
I think it's also different because it's more so like the god chose him and he didn't choose the god.
True.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
But what about the trifecta? They lasted pretty long.
They did.
I didn't realize. I didn't realize until like obviously we got the bit with the Vipers, and I can't remember if it's happened in the bit you've already read, Charlotte, or if it's just after. You find out that they also had like a seal, and the reason why Jiang's going backwards into that horrible person he was because the seal's starting to erode.
Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I didn't realize that, and it's because she'd sealed them all because of that argument, and then she's the one who put away the Dragon Emperor. But I think if that hadn't happened, they would have very quickly one way or another like died, or like something would have happened. Because
so do you think it's more the seal or the training? Because Rin also had a seal, so maybe that's why she lasted longer as opposed to the training.
Yeah, it could be, because then she had Katai to kind of
balance.
Yeah. Especially actually at the end when she was almost trying to overpower him so she could have unlimited access. That's when she kind of realized that he always had that option there to kind of shut her off. But I think that helped having the seal, because it wasn't constantly in our mind anymore because there was that block. Yeah.
I was confused about like how the seal worked because it feels like there was times where she didn't need Kate to like use the Phoenix.
Yeah.
But then wasn't it because, was it Changan told her that there's certain places that if you're there, and that's the mountain where the Dragon Emperor is and Spearley, and then there's some other places that the plane is thinner or something, so your connection to God is stronger. And I think when she's there, she can almost go direct without using Katai too much, I think.
Gotcha. Okay.
That makes sense, because in the first book, when she goes to the Spearley Island, like, she has instant reach to her god, basically. Even though back then she didn't have the seal or Kate, but still, I do agree. I think there are like places where the connection is just like closer or something.
Yeah, and there was a few places that were mentioned that connection is, stronger, I suppose, in those places.
Okay. That makes sense. I didn't remember that.
What did we think of the Hesperians this time?
I mean, you didn't see them as much, but I was really happy about the ending for Petra. Petra. I was like, okay, that was a good ending for her, because she had to be dealt with, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it was a good ending that Rin basically dragged her up to the Pantheon so she could actually see that it is real. And left the gods to deal with her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think when they went to like the new city, and then they felt so out of place because they'd like, I don't know, brought all this technology, and I think they're just way ahead of them. And if they treated them like actual humans, I think it would be really good for them to like kind of, with the technology and stuff, it would have worked really well. And who knows, maybe within the jar, that's what's going to happen. But
but I found that so sad when they saw how they were rebuilding the cities, and like even Kite started to doubt that, like, oh, perhaps they are better than us because they are more developed or whatever. That's just so sad to me, actually.
And it was even more sad when Rin was like, oh, if you believe that, then what do you think of me? Because I'm already viewed as like the lowest of where we're at now.
Yeah.
So if they're better than us, like, what do you think of me?
Yeah, that was a good argument from her side.
Yeah. But I think it's just because he really likes to seek out knowledge. So I think he was just, for him to not know something, I think that's what it was. Like, he just realized that he doesn't actually know as much as he thinks he does.
Yeah. No, that's true. What did we think about Rin going back to the south in the beginning? Because I'm gonna suggest points that I read, so that's why I'm talking more about the first half. But she went back to the south to like fight with the Southern Coalition and all of that. I think it's very interesting just to see her go back to her roots, and see her react to that, and like being back in Tikani as well. And such. And that's also when we met this what's his name? Soji.
Yeah.
Do you know how to pronounce his name? Soji?
Yeah. So yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce any of these names, so
I listened to the audiobooks. I need to, if I see Sunji. Is it Sunji that they said? I can't remember.
Oh, but either way, like, I actually really liked him in the beginning. I thought he was pretty great because he challenged Rin a lot. Like, the way she had been taught how to fight in a war at Sinigard is very different from how they were doing it in the south. So I did really enjoy him as a character, as someone who challenged Rin, but also sort of taught her and made her see, I guess, another side, or another, just give her another view of how to fight, I guess. So yeah, I did like him until he betrayed her.
I was just saying, like, I think it was good to kind of challenge her perspective.
Exactly.
And also, I think it really helped that him and his soldiers knew how to like forage and stuff, and kind of taught them, because otherwise I don't think they would have got as far as they did in the end without actually being able to use those survival techniques. So yeah, I feel like every character she comes across in this has taught her something that has led to like, yeah, the progression of where she got to in the end.
Yeah.
I hate that he betrayed her, but I can also totally see why he betrayed her, because I mean she's sacrificing lives left and right to win the war, so why is she not willing to sacrifice herself? I think was like their viewpoint. It's like one life versus all these other people's lives. If you die or if you get taken, all of us can live. Why would we not make that like one
True.
person trade? Like,
Very
Yeah,
true.
I got their point in that, but at the same time, I think what she was saying is, but it won't ever be equal.
Mhm.
That's why she kept fighting, because like they were basically gonna be like, oh, you just leave us, and like it will never, like give them like a few years and they'll come back to take over the South again. So
Mhm.
I think Rin was the only one who really had a vision longer term, whereas everyone else was just thinking of, okay, if we do this, we'll be fine, and not actually thinking what the next stage would be.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But you also have to remember they were all like starving and like just over war. Like they were
Yeah.
going to die either way, so why not live 4 more years?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I do think, like, yeah, Rin, she might have had a, like, or might have considered a war in a longer perspective, but also, like, she was very narrow-minded, and basically, at least earlier, or even in the earlier books, she kind of, for her, it was so, how should I say it? Like, when she was recruiting people or just talking to civilians and stuff, she always assumed or expected them to act as soldiers because this is a war. You should act up. You should fight. You should do this. You should focus on that. She never really considered people as just victims, as civilians, as people that don't want to fight. They just want to survive with whatever means possible. And so she, in that way, I think she was very narrow-minded. In like she's not really a people person, I guess is the
No.
thing. She doesn't really know how to get people on her side. Um, she thought most of the time she seems to think that it's enough to be powerful and to prove that yes, I'm strong, I can fight for you, you should fight for me. That's not all of it. There's a lot of politics, there's a lot of talking, there's a lot of like these things that she's not the greatest at.
Yeah.
So yeah. But I did like her going back to the south as well. It was very interesting to see where she came from and then going back. And another thing also that I thought of is how the allies and the enemies throughout the books keep changing as well. Like by the end of the first book, we were supposed to hate the Empress, and now like in the third book, she's teaming up with the Empress, and in the second book, she's allied with the Dragon Republic, but in the third book, she's fighting the Dragon Republic. So there's a lot of back and forth with just the ally ships as well. Hard to keep up with.
I liked when they finally got cloth to make their uniforms, and they were like, "Oh, what color do you want the uniforms to be?" And she was like, "Dirt, because that's what people think we are, like brown, like dirt." And I was like, "Yeah, nice."
Yeah. I also like how she, at the end, before they went to Spear again, she ended up back in the South and in her hometown again. So yeah, I do like how it was that journey of going back to her roots as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was something, especially in the first book, that she fought so hard against the like her being from the south, basically. So it's kind of cool how she, I guess, embraced it a bit more in this book, actually, and stood up for them. Yeah. I'm trying to see if there's anything else.
I know, I'm trying to think of like the major points, but the first half was really just travel. So I'm just like, what else to talk about?
Yeah, but there's mainly a lot of travel and like going somewhere, reaching that point, and then being like, okay, what should we do next? What's our next strategic move? And I remember when I read this the first time as well, I was so impressed by all the strategy talk that was going on, like how she has a plan, and then the Empress is like, no, we can't do that because of this, and then Kitay is like, no, but like, I love that. I love the back and forth in the planning of like what the next step should be, and then always how there's someone who figure out their plan and stops them or like betrays them or something. I just that is so much fun actually, and I'm so impressed by just the author's mind, how she can come up with all of those scenarios.
What was the best strategy? I liked the one where they took down the walls by like sending a decoy of like a fire wall to make it look like Ren, so that they could see where the enemy was, and then they sent in the little kid that can like cause sinkholes and just drop the wall. I was like, whoa, that's really cool.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the bit that you're going to be coming up to now.
Yeah, exactly.
Split off into different fractions to get to the same point. Yeah. But you know, that was a good strategy. But with all their planning, Ren never planned of what to actually do with the people once the war stopped.
No. But that's the thing. Like, I don't know. Would, after everything that's Rin been through, if she would have survived this war, do you think she would have actually been able to go back to, I guess, a normal life, or how? Like, what?
I don't think the war would ever stop for her.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Yeah, because I'm sure in one of the other books she did say something like, I think that's what she likes. She likes being in like the action in the war. So yeah, I don't think she would have ever stopped. She would have kept going.
She's always finding enemies. I mean, like, remember how paranoid she got? Well, I don't know if you remember. She got so paranoid and like couldn't even sleep at night without Kitay keeping watch or that kind of thing, just because she always felt like an enemy was around and she just wanted to fight everyone.
Because those scrolls kept turning up from Ajah, but like, was it him? Or like, they just kept turning up like in random places. And that's why she said there was obviously someone that was working with them. How else could these things get into like her quarters, or like they would just randomly turn up? So yeah, she did get really, really paranoid. And I think it could have been him, and he was doing it just to knowing that he was gonna like set her off, basically. I liked when she went back to Canny and she did like her speech, and then like they weren't like for it. They're like, no, but like we're hungry. Like I think they were like, it kind of almost grounded her a little bit. Like she didn't understand why they didn't want to keep going with the war, and they're like, but we're starving. Like there's
yeah, exactly.
And I don't know if it was actually the people to Canny that set the poppy flowers on fire, or was it someone else? Because like it was like the way out. She's like, oh great, I can use this, and we can buy grain, and because they had like all these fields of poppy, and then they were on fire, and somebody had set it, but like who it was, I don't know. I never worked out in the end. Yeah.
It wasn't Menka. She was dead.
Because when I was reading, I was like, oh no, that was literally their way out to be able to buy grain the people.
Yeah. I don't know who did it. I don't know if we'll ever know.
Yeah.
So many epic moments, actually. Like, such great books.
Okay, so we talked about a little bit of like how Rin's backstory was touched on. So what do you think the backstory actually was? She was the one lady's daughter, right?
Yeah, because she said like it was that the face was exactly the same as her, so that obviously was the mother, but she was the one that Jang
was with. So I was like, is Jang her father, or did he like get with her after she already had a kid, or?
Yeah, I can't remember what her name was, but yeah, it was.
I keep wanting to say Hesperia, and I'm like, that's not it. That's not it.
Spear, because that's why like the Dragon Empire and Emperor like didn't like that he had that connection with her, and like he's the one who basically killed Spear. Like he gave the kids to the doctor.
Mhm.
Which Rin, I assumed that Rin must be one of the children, and she went on that boat and went to like that place where I can't remember Doctor whatever his name was who did the experiments. But how she escaped out of there, I don't know. Like there's so many missing like questions. But yeah, I don't know if she is Zhang's daughter or not, or if it was just the same woman that he was with, and like you said, maybe she already had a child.
I
Honolulu.
don't remember quite, but from the first time I read it, I don't think I believed that she was his daughter. Might change upon reread, but back then that was not something I considered, at least. That it's not clear.
Yeah, it's not clear. You kind of left that question, but I suppose it was more you found the connection to Spear for her.
That's
Yeah.
how cool this photo is.
Ooh, that's nice. I'm so envious of your copies.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'd
cool.
love for them to adapt the series.
Yeah, that would be so cool. But I feel like it would be so difficult to do, perhaps.
I think it would need to be like a TV series rather than a film, because there's no way they could get everything in that they needed to.
Yeah.
Do you think it would be better live action or animated?
Ooh. I don't know. I don't think I've watched enough anime, but I guess animated it would be really cool. But if they do it well as live action,
I get so nervous with live actions.
yeah.
I feel like it's too dark to be animated, but that's coming from someone who just binged Attack on Titan, which is really dark. So
Yeah. Do you think that R.F. Kuang will ever release a book in this universe again? Do you think
hope
that's an
so.
option?
I'd hope so, yeah. Maybe not. Maybe it'll be like a case of so many years after this one ended, and then would you get to see what happened to Nikan? What actually...
I think more that it would
Or
be
prequel.
like a prequel or something, either more about Spear or like Rin when she was, I guess, a baby, or even like the Red Emperor or the Trifecta or something like that. More like a prequel, because I don't know, I'm just assuming that R.F. Kuang is very pleased with where she left off with the series, so adding more to that might not be what she wants. I have no
I was
clue.
gonna say, as much as I want more from the series, I think adding any more books would ruin it, to be honest.
Yeah.
It typically does when people add books.
Mm-hmm. I think it's as much as I want more, I think it ended where it needed to.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I think it's the proper ending for this series, at least.
Yeah.
But if anything were to be added, I think
I'd read it. Yeah.
Before. I would read it. Yeah.
No hesitation. I would pick it up.
I think prequel would be good because you've gotten bits and pieces of like the Trifecta, bits and pieces of Spear, but you never actually get the full story of what actually happened.
Yeah.
And with the Hinterlanders, like it's all kind of connected because they all happen at the same time.
Yeah.
But you don't know the full story.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Yeah. Will you read R.F. Kuang's next book that is coming up?
Is it
Babel?
Babel?
Yeah. Released in August, I think, is the plan.
Oh yeah, I plan to read it.
Yeah. I don't know what it's about.
I was gonna say I don't know what it's about, but
it sounds so confusing and like I will feel stupid reading it, but it sounds really cool and it's R.F. Kuang, so I'm gonna read it.
Yeah.
It's not like some sort of dark academia thing.
You know, I've heard that it's not like the Poppy War at all.
No, it's not epic fantasy.
it's historical fiction / urban fantasy, according to Goodreads.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm intrigued. I don't understand it, what it's about, but I'm gonna read it and I'm sure I'm gonna love it because I'm just obsessed with how she writes her books.
Yeah.
And that she's not afraid to go there with her writing and be extreme and write these horrific things.
Yeah, I think she probably didn't want to do another epic fantasy because I don't know, this was really well. So like if she does it again, like if it doesn't work out, and it always have to be serious as well. I find with fantasy, like you don't find many standalone fantasies. It's always like a duology. Or a
Yeah.
It sounds like it's about a guy who goes to this school where he's like seeking knowledge, and the knowledge that he's being taught goes against like what he was raised as. So he's trying to like
Ooh.
distinguish which one he should follow. I think. Yeah. Something like that.
It's gonna be exciting. I
Mm-hmm.
think it's gonna be good. Apparently, it's a chunker as well.
It's 560 pages.
Yeah, so about same size then.
Yeah, I know. It sounds like all her books are similar kind of page lengths, like within like 100 pages of each other. Because the Poppy War series was between 500 and almost 700, wasn't each book?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like 650 at most or something like that.
Yeah.
I usually prefer longer books. I feel like it gives us more time to explore the world and get to know the characters and also see the development and progress. While shorter books, I typically just feel like they don't have enough time to do the things they want to do. So I don't really mind the length of these books at all. I think it's great. I would have loved for them to be even longer. I wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
Are there any other epic fantasies that you're considering to pick up now, or do you feel burned out by them?
No, I think pacing myself at a chapter a day actually worked really well for me. So I think that's how I'll approach epic fantasies from now on.
That's really smart, actually.
So just like taking in a little bit each day and like slowly growing the story was really interesting.
Ooh.
But I don't own any other like adult high fantasy, so I'd have to go purchase some. I mean, I might have some, but I don't even. I have over 500 books at my physical TBR, so I'm sure I have some more around here somewhere. But
I have things to read, nevertheless.
You know, I don't have any other like adult high fantasy either. I've got what's it called? The Shadow and Bone trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
And then I've Crooked Kingdom and Six of Crows as well. So I want to do Shadow and Bone first and then go on to the other ones. So yeah, I think if I'm gonna, those are the next ones, but they're like YA, aren't they?
Yeah.
Shadow and Bone is very YA.
Yeah, your typical 2012 YA.
Yeah. So if you read Shadow and Bone and don't enjoy it, don't take that. Like, don't not read Six of Crows because of it, because Six of Crows is so much better than the Shadow and Bone trilogy.
I have heard that, so I'd probably push through and then
I agree.
I mean, they're good. I enjoyed them, but
I agree. I actually read the Six of Crows duology first.
Me too.
And it was a bit confusing, like the first 50 pages, because there's a lot of world building done in Shadow and Bone, and not as much in Six of Crows, because the author assumes that you've read the books. But once I got past that, it didn't really matter. But I'm still glad I read Shadow and Bone, because I read them because I wanted to watch the TV show, and I really, really did enjoy the TV show. And like, for me, my favorite in that trilogy is the second book, Siege and Storm. Yeah. So like, they are entertaining. They're fun to read, but yeah.
The first two are good. I wasn't the biggest fan of the third one.
Oh no! Okay, no, I had thoughts about the third one. It's not.
But what was I going to say? Oh, like Six of Crows. I feel like Leigh Bardugo has this habit of starting her books with a chapter that has nothing to do with what you're about to read.
Oh, I get what you mean.
So don't be daunted by like the first chapter, because you're never going to meet those characters again.
Okay. It's kind of pointless, basically, to have it there.
I mean, it sets up like kind of like when you watch a crime show and they like set up the murder scene, but you never really talk to the people who got murdered because they're dead. So, but your main characters are like solving what happened. It's kind of like along those lines.
Okay.
Have you read the King of Scars duo, Megan?
Yes. Well, I have read King of Scars, but I have not read Rule of Wolves yet.
Okay. Because I have both of
too.
them, like waiting for me to read them, and I want to. I just haven't gotten to them.
I'm about to reread Six of Crows. Says the girl
Ooh.
with over 500 books on her physical
Yeah.
TBR, rereading books. But I'm doing this like Sisterhood of the Traveling Books with a few of my friends, where we like send books, like we each send out our favorite book, and then we're like annotating as we go.
That's nice.
Yeah, and I was gonna look for. Oh, here it is. Don't mind me like getting close to the camera.
I've heard of
We're
people
like
doing
my Baby Yoda, creep it real. But so, like, this is the second book I got. So there's one person already annotated. So I'm blue and she's pink. So we're just sending out, and we each like write notes in there. And it's just been so fun. And the next book I'm getting is Six of Crows, so I have to reread that soon.
Oh, nice. I love
Yeah.
that. Oh, I need to do that with my friends. I'm gonna
Yeah.
steal that idea.
But we also need to discuss what series we want to read along next if we want to do another read along.
Yeah.
We keep saying that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've really enjoyed discussing these books with you, and I feel so bad that
Jane didn't enjoy it.
both that, but also that I didn't finish 2 out of the 3 books. While
At least
both
you've
of you
read
did.
them before.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was the issue though as well. That because I read them, I did not feel as pressured to finish them. So perhaps for our next, like if we're doing either buddy reads or read-alongs or whatever, I should go with something I haven't read just to actually put some pressure on myself to read that, because I'm certain that if that would have been the case now I would have completed.
Push through.
Yeah, exactly. But I've just really enjoyed discussing everything with you. So I would love to do something more in the future.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out as we go. So like no pressure to come up with something. But yeah.
I saw on Kindle deals this month in the UK. There's Red Rising, so I got it for 99 pence on my Kindle.
I have it. I know Jane's interested.
There's like 4 or 5 books, isn't there?
I think there's 5 released, but there's gonna be 6, but I could be completely wrong.
Like multiple trilogies sort of thing?
Yeah, it's like Red Rising, and then there's like a secondary companion trilogy or duology or something. Because there's Red Rising, Morning Star, and
Golden Sun?
yeah. But then there's Iron Gold and something else.
Yeah,
Dark
there's at least 4 when I'm looking it up now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Dark Age is the 5th one. There must be another one coming out, I'm guessing.
And number 6 is Lightbringer. It's coming out expectedly in this year, but it's December 7th of this year. So that could be interesting. Red Rising, like doing 5 months leading up to the release of number 6.
That would mean
June. It'd have to be June to get to that
either
one.
June or July, depending on, because
December,
if people are getting
November, October, September, August, July. Well, July, right?
Yeah.
Starting in July, August, September, October, November. 6th book, December.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That could be something actually.
Yeah.
I'd be down for that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll discuss it and see.
Okay.
I'll be down for that. I want to read Red Rising, and I've heard, like, when I've seen other people reading that series, like so many are like, yeah, the first book is alright, it's quite good, but then like that the second or third book are incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's also one of those series that just gets better and better and sort of builds on. Yeah.
I'm doing the same thing for Scythe when I think the Gleanings, which is the short story collection, is coming out in November. So I'm doing August, September, October for the Scythe trilogy. If you guys would like to join for that, I'm doing it either way.
Cool. I love that.
Reading Scythe as well. I just keep, like, the last few months, I just keep people reading it.
It's in my top 5 all-time favorite series. I like it that much.
That's promising.
Like Hunger Games, Crown of Feathers, Scythe are my like top 3 probably, and then Little Women is up there for me just because it's very sentimental to me as a book. It's like one of the first books I ever read. My grandma got me like super into reading through that book, and we always went to like plays and productions of it, and then I got to be in a production of it, which was really cool. And then the 5th spot is like it keeps switching. It's been 6 of Crows. Poppy War has like kind of maybe stepped in there. I just read Raybearer, which is a really good duology as well. So it's just like this constant rotation of what's in 5th place. But 6 of Crows is also sentimental because it got me back into reading. So I think it's probably number 5. But
I get what you mean.
What are you guys' top 5?
I'm not a big series reader, in general. I don't read like a lot of series.
Okay, top 5 favorite books / series, whatever. It's like top. So hard.
It is.
It is really hard because there's a few, and there's certain books I want to try and reread this year because they have been all-time favorites, but it's been so many years since I've read it that I don't know would it still be a favorite now because my reading have changed. But my absolute number 1 is The Alchemist. That's always my number 1.
Okay.
Yeah. I read that recently. It's amazing.
I have The Alchemist on my 12 books from 12 friends. Were you the one that maybe recommended that?
No, I don't remember. No, okay. I
don't know who recommended it. I didn't write down who recommended what, which was a very poor decision on my part. So I'm like, I don't know who to talk to about these books.
You just have to tweet about it and see who replies.
Yeah.
Once you read them.
I could probably look back at my Twitter replies because that's where I originally asked for them.
True.
I don't remember, but you never know. It could have been me just being like, read this one.
Well, I could have been.
I'm scrolling back to January.
Yeah. I also asked for suggestions for that challenge, and I did write down who recommended what. But I don't think I've even read a book from that challenge yet. So
I've done one.
No, I have so many this year. I did so many books of I have my list of ones I want to reread. I have my list of ones that if I don't read them this year, they're going to self-destruct. I've not read anything from these lists.
So many TBRs, so little time.
Yeah.
Same. I have my 22 books in 2022, friends' recommendations, challenges I want to do. No, I'm not keeping up. I'm currently in the middle of the Greenbone saga as well. The Jade City, Jade War, Jade Legacy, and I'm in the middle of Jade War. It's really good.
It was my friend's story. That's who it was.
Could have been Lorena.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Lots to read.
Yeah.
That's all.
It's overwhelming.
It is.
Yeah.
I actually have a list of my physical TBR. I want to see what the actual number is right now.
Oh, I also have a list. I think mine is at 100. Just a bit over 100.
I'm at 577.
Okay, at least I'm not that bad.
Oh, wait, 576. I'm taking off Burning God right now.
Hey.
I think last August it was 50-something, but I have gotten a lot more books since then. But I'm trying to Storygraph. I'm trying to tag them all as I own these, and I have a separate physical TBR to find out the numbers. But it's just it's one of those things that takes time to actually go through and like add them all.
I have like a list in my journal, and I've also counted them on multiple occasions, because my goal for the year is to actually halve my physical TBR, but like I'm doing really poorly because I started out at 100 books in January, and I think I'm now at like 105, so it's not going well. I need to reach 50.
My issue is I keep adding manga, so they just keep like piling up. So
they're quicker to read, aren't they? So there should be quicker ones to kind of knock your number down.
But I keep putting them off because they're quicker. So I'm like, oh, I'll get to them. I'll get to them. I'll get to them. Because I want to get to these huge books I have. But then I don't read either. And I reread or read library books that I don't own.
Yeah. Constant struggle. Growing TBRs.
It's actually 3 or 575 because I forgot to take off Redemptor as well, which I just finished. So,
cool.
Woo.
Good job. So, are you pleased with going through the Poppy War series? Was it worth it? Was it a good time? Do you approve?
Yeah, I think so. I know so. It was fun.
Yeah, no, it was really fun, and like it's like a 5-star series for me. And I also like the fact that I started a series and finished it.
Yeah.
Within like a few months, rather than like waiting like 6 months to pick up the second book. So that was quite good, because normally, it takes me months to pick up the next one.
I think buddy reading the series, like when you start a series, like buddy reading the series is the key there, because you have someone like holding you accountable to it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that as well. Like, it feels nice reading one book a month from the same series. Like, you're not really rushing it, or it depends on how late you start reading, I guess. But you're not really rushing it. You're not reading them back to back, so you have time to break it up with other things. But you're still actually getting through that series. So it's a good way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. But I guess that, with that said, we don't really have that much to add to the Poppy War Readalong, do we?
No.
It feels so final now, but yeah. But we'll come up with something else.
They should be July, potentially.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I think I'm pretty done.
Yeah.
I need to keep reading.
Yeah, you go do that.
And So yeah, it's been lovely to discuss this series with both of you, and also with Jane, and with the people that have participated, either on like Twitter or in previous lives and all of that. So it's been a lot of fun, and I do hope that we do this again in the future. Would be nice, or just spontaneous reading sprints or something else would be fun too. But yeah, should we wrap it up? Anything else to say?
No,
that's it.
Great. I should have everyone's channels in the description box, so make sure to check everyone out. And thank you so much to everyone for participating in the Poppy War Readalong, I guess. Take care, everyone, and we'll see you soon someday.
Yeah.
Goodbye.